Have you ever felt like you're doing everything right in your language learning, attending every class, listening to your teacher, doing the homework assignments, and yet you're still not making the kind of progress that you hoped for? Well, I've been there too. It's easy to assume that somebody else, a teacher, a tutor, or a well-designed textbook knows what's best for us, but the truth is no one understands your learning needs as well as you do. In today's video, I want to share why taking charge of your own language learning can make all the difference, along with a few personal stories and hard-learned lessons that completely changed the way I approach languages now. Usually, when it comes to learning a language, we tend to think that somebody else knows better. And why wouldn't they? After all, a language teacher has already mastered the language, plus they most likely have several years of teaching experience under their belt. Same goes for the language textbooks. Weren't they written by experts who promise results if you just keep following the program? And sometimes it does hold true. You come across an outstanding teacher, or the textbook is so well structured that the language enters your brain effortlessly. However, a lot of the times, it's the complete opposite. I have talked about this in some of my previous videos, but the most recent and the most telling example of when I took charge of my own language learning was when I studied in France for my university year abroad. Basically, I took a French course where our professor, who was a native speaker by the way, taught us zero grammar because he believed that we should acquire the language like babies, through reading and listening. And as a result, I did understand a lot, but speaking was a cosmic struggle. That said, my French skyrocketed when I got myself a French grammar book over the winter holidays. That's when the words I had learned before finally clicked, and I could speak, with confidence for that matter. On another note, I think we can all agree that there's nothing more annoying than seeing a word that you clearly remember learning, but then can't recognize the next time it comes up. It's like seeing the face of an old acquaintance and completely blanking out on their name. That's why, if you ever find yourself stumbling upon words that look familiar but that you don't recognize, even though you looked them up not so long ago, it might be high time to write them down properly in your vocabulary notebook with explanations, example sentences, and to make sure that this time you memorize them for good. When it comes to vocabulary, you might also find yourself lacking words in certain topics. For example, when I passed a C1 level Turkish exam, I knew words like sermaye, capital, and sürdürülebilirlik, sustainability, but it was only when I began to rent an apartment in Istanbul that I realized that I don't know simple domestic words like a mop or a screwdriver. Now, your vocabulary blind spots may look very different from mine, but the point that I want to make here is that instead of looking them up in a translator and then letting them slide, tackle them straight on. Write them down, create flashcards, or do anything that you would normally do when you're serious about memorizing new words. If you're learning a language with a specific goal in mind, for example, you want to work in marketing, then I suggest that at some point in time you get yourself a more specialized book like English for Marketing and Advertising. Insert your own language and your own discipline here. This way, instead of being subjected to absolutely random texts on deforestation or the generation gap, you'll be getting actionable and professional vocabulary that will make a difference for you almost immediately. So far, I've listed the most common dilemmas that I've encountered, and you might have different language struggles of your own, something that comes up occasionally but that you keep ignoring. And the truth is, a lot of us think that by following that one language textbook or relying on a program of that one language teacher, our language problems will magically solve themselves. But the thing is, if you're following a group class, it's very unlikely that that language teacher will A, notice your particular struggles, and B, change the program accordingly. And sometimes, even if you're taking a one-on-one class with a language tutor, yes, they will correct the most glaring mistakes, but it's up to you to voice your struggles and redirect the course according to your needs. At the end of the day, the person who knows you best is you. And if you want to make any significant progress in a foreign language, then you need to become your own language teacher by noticing the most frequent mistakes and problems, giving yourself the necessary feedback, and then tailoring your language curriculum based on that. This way, you'll reach your goals much sooner than if you were to rely entirely on somebody else's standardized program. Now over to you. What are some of your language struggles that you've recently noticed? Let me know in the comments if you've been able to fix them, and if not, I'll try to give you my take on them. And vice versa, if you see somebody dealing with a language dilemma that you've already found a solution for, don't hesitate to share your experience. It might become a game changer for somebody else. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.